Remember this anime? Yeah, me neither. Takt Op Destiny managed to create some of the most beautiful sakuga, most beautiful scores in anime, only to be followed by a game so bad it shut down in 10 months and lost the company 28 billion yen. The Takt Op project was first revealed in March 2021. The company behind it, DNA, launched a teaser website alongside a new Twitter account, hinting a new mysterious project. The initial image already announced popular illustrator Lam and viral pianist Marasi would be participating in the project. And a week later, they revealed that Takt would be getting an anime, a gacha game, and special music compositions, showing that this was a large-scale project. 3 months later, a grand livestream was hosted, explaining this huge multimedia project plan. The core premise centers on waifus called musicards, who embody the power of famous classical musical scores. You know, like Beethoven and Mozart. What stood out was the lineup. They got all the big names in the industry. Oji Hiroi, Aya Takaha, Hideki Sakamoto, and the anime would be done by a collaboration between MAPPA and Madhouse. This was looking like a top-tier strike. The premise was unique, the art was incredible, and the music involving classical was certainly going to stand out in a giant pool of generic J-pop. The anime was announced for the same year's fall season, starting in October, and internally, the plan was to have the gacha game release while the anime was airing, possibly trying to copy Umamusume's success model, which had just released that same year. DNA was looking forward to this huge investment they had made. As the anime aired, the reception was not bad. While not regarded as some sort of masterpiece, the fights and animation were gorgeous, and the classical music was beautiful. They even got Mafu Mafu and Supercell to do the opening. They were getting all the A names here. Most people's problems lied with the plot, especially the ending that felt incomplete. But hey, that's what the gacha game is for, right? Watch the anime to fall in love with this unique world, and play the game to find out more. The perfect setup as an ad. Yeah, that fell apart pretty quickly. By fall 2021, while the anime was airing, the development team realized that the game was not going to be ready in time. On November 12th, it was officially announced that the game would be delayed beyond 2021, citing the need to further improve the game's quality in order to deliver a more enjoyable experience, as the official reason. To make things worse, no new date was given, leaving fans just kind of hanging there. In their defense, they did try to capitalize on the anime by opening the pre-registrations in late December when the anime was finishing up, but again, no release date. What's interesting is, internally, the alpha of the game had actually long been finished in spring 2021. However, due to the hype of the anime, they felt that the game wouldn't live up to people's expectations. So after much discussion, again, maybe inspired by the batshit crazy story of Umamusume's success, they decided to rehaul the game. Okay, not remake everything, but a lot of it. A major part being changing the entire game from 2D to 3D. The release date? Well, one thing to note was that in DNA's financial report, DNA mentioned Takt Op as one of the major titles in development. They indicated plans to release Takt Op within September 2022. But you know, this is info most people wouldn't have even known about. This is some random financial report of the company. Between pre-registering in December 2021, fans were left in the dark after the anime finished all the way until September 2022. 10 entire months until the producer finally wrote an official letter explaining the situation and informing fans that they would need until spring 2023 before the game would be ready. Essentially a 1.5-year delay from the initial planned release date. There would, however, be a closed beta in December 2022 to show fans what they had made. Despite all these delays, fans stayed quite positive, and there were evidently many people anticipating the game. Finally, on May 12, 2023, DNA announced that the game would launch in late June 2023. Hype was building up, and as the release date approached, Takt Op reached 1.5 million pre-registrations for the game. Quite the impressive amount for an original IP. This was it. The release of the main gacha game that had been in development for 6+ years. Unlike many gacha games, they even planned for Takt Op to release simultaneously worldwide. Yes, America and Europe too. You guys didn't get cocked for once. The day came, June 28th. It sucked. At launch, the game performed okay. Thanks to the abundant number of pre-registrations, many people had the game downloaded at launch, and the game shot up to the #1 on the iOS App Store free download chart, exceeding 1 million downloads in 3 days. Revenue-wise though, the game debuted at number 14 on the App Store game sales rankings in Japan on launch day, which is okay, but disappointing for how hyped up this was. Many big gacha games shoot up to top 5 or even #1 on launch day if done right. As for the game itself, it had the exact same problem as the anime. Everything other than the animation and music sucked. Except this is much more unforgivable in a game compared to an anime, especially one that has been in development for 6 years and has been infinitely delayed to improve the quality. The loading times were long, glitches were found immediately, localization issues, a really annoying UI to navigate, an overworld that sucks to move around, and it just wasn't a good game at its core. And I say the animation and music is good, but this is purely talking about the live 2D character arts and the pieces themselves. The actual in-game chibi models were okay, and for some reason, in this music-themed game, there were complaints that the audio quality is kinda bad. Combine that with a gacha game that's an absolute slog to grind because there's no sweep option like other gacha games, and yeah, this is just a disaster. But by far, the biggest offender here is the story. So, you know how they made a whole ass anime with a whole story and characters with personality to promote the game? The events of the game occurs 20 years after those of the anime. That's fine, a time skip can be pretty cool. But imagine giving your main character amnesia and making him nothing like what he was in the anime. Why would you introduce a character that people like in the anime, your ad, then destroy his personality? This very thing that fans liked in the game, your main medium. Like, what? What happened to the perfect strategy of getting fans hyped with the anime? Who decided this? Needless to say, this flopped very quickly. While making about 4 million USD in total in July, essentially the month of release, this dropped off to less than 1 million USD the next month in August. For a gacha game, plus considering the years of development, promotions, collaborators, efforts put in, this was an utter disaster. The production committee first tried to salvage the situation. In the following months, they released a major update trying to improve the game. They brought popular characters from the anime as pullable gacha characters. They even held a special exhibition at Tokyo Anime Center, showcasing artwork and stuff. But it was too late. The game dropped further and further in the rankings until it was basically irrelevant. On February 8th, 2024, only a little after the game's half-year anniversary, it was officially announced that Takt Op would be shutting down service. 6+ years of work down the drain. This announcement was accompanied by a heartfelt producer's letter from the game's operation producer, Ryuji Harimoto, apologizing for his lack of ability. In a very respectful manner, the man announced that before the game shuts down, they would essentially allow fans to collect all the previous limited gacha characters for free, distributing in-game resources to train units so that everyone could see the story until the end, and shared all the content that they were initially planning to release in the future. Essentially, this was their way of saying, the game is done, it flopped, but we at least want the fans to be able to enjoy every last bit of what the game has left to offer. In the end, the game shut down in April 2024, 2 months after the announcement. Financially speaking, this game was an absolute disaster for all the companies involved. From just the period of April to December 2023, DeNA had an overall operating loss of 27.6 billion yen, or 186 million USD. While this is obviously about the company as a whole and not just Takt Op, given the timing exactly aligning with the release of Takt Op, this project that was supposed to be the next big gacha game, the next Uma Musume, and how quickly the game revenue flopped and the game shut down, literally in less than a year. Considering the 6+ years of development costs, marketing costs, all the big names they had to pay to get involved in this project, I think it's very safe to say that this financial loss is mostly because of the failure of Takt Op. While we see new gacha games like Blue Archive suddenly blow up everywhere, or hear the stories of Umamusume's developers delaying their game's release to remake the whole game, it's easy to forget that these games are the exception and stand above the hundreds of flopped gacha games that we've never even heard about. Takt Op was simply another ambitious project that had the funding but shot itself in the foot with its delays and its very strange decisions, destroying the plan they made in the first place. And now, it lies with the hundreds of other failed gacha games in the grave. Special thanks to Vicente Pagani and all my other patrons and members for supporting the channel.